The next workshop we're going to have, and just for those people that are keeping time, we allotted 15 minutes for each one, and the first one took a half an hour. So, so the next one is a transit triangle. So you got 1 minute. No, just kidding. There's three.
Good evening, President, members of the Council. Thanks for giving us some time to discuss about this. But before that, I want to thank my colleague, Commissioner Matias, for taking the lead on the website, the new website, because I think it's so important from time to time that we upgrade ourselves, and it's time that we upgrade ourselves. And one of the important things that she emphasized, and we have been talking about, is to make it mobile friendly, because so many people now do conduct their business on their cell phones, and we ought to be able to do that. Unfortunately, our current website is not able to do that. So hopefully with your support, we'll get that done, and that will really present where we can present ourselves well to people who want to reach into our community. Now, regarding the transit triangle, with your support and help, a few years ago, we started this bus service between Michigan City, LaPorte, and Westville to the PNC. Now, this idea was really brought up by Chancellor Dworkin when I first got elected. And as I was coming off the school board, I realized there are a lot of high school students who wanted to attend college, but they didn't have the transportation to do that. And for us, it's very important to make sure that our kids are able to access education, because without education, they won't have a future. And so that's the reason why we brought this team together, and working very closely with the mayor of Michigan City, mayor of LaPorte, and Purdue North Central, we were able to put this. And we have had a very good partnership, and Tom McLennan is here from LaPorte, Robin is here from Michigan City. And so we have been able to work together, and it's going smoothly. But now the time has come wherein the amount of money that we were getting from the federal government has gone down a little bit. And then I think Tom will be able to explain that a little bit more. So we are here to seek some funding. That way we can make sure that this service can continue. It'll help the students, it'll help the seniors, it'll help the disabled, it'll help people access health care when there's nobody to take them to the doctor's appointments or to the hospitals. And then also people who want recreation. One of the things we discussed when we first started was, if they are able to, from Michigan City or LaPorte, they can go to the bus terminal in Michigan City, and then they can access either a train or a bus, and then go to the airport, and then they can go wherever they want to go in the world. So I think we have made it very accessible and also very affordable. I think it's like $20 per month for a pass, $10 for students and seniors. So with that, I'll leave initially Tom, and then Robin, if you can just address that.
Just a quick background on the numbers. The Transit Triangle started in 2015 using federal CMAQ dollars. Federal CMAQ dollars is an 80-20 grant. The four original participants, which would be the two cities, the county, and the university, all agreed to put up 5%, and the federal government then covered 80%. We initially anticipated that grant would last for 3 years, and we asked for and received a commitment of $25,000 from each of the four entities for their share of that 5% share. We, mostly through Robin, managed to stretch that money out to a fourth year. And in addition, we have gone from service that was from 6 to 10 in the morning and from 2 to 6 in the afternoon, and we're now providing service for 12 continuous hours through the day. and we've streamlined the schedule, and we have also improved the connections with Michigan City, and we've reduced the cost for students. For everyone. However, the CMAQ money has been expended, and now we're using regular federal 5307 funding. That's the same funding that the city of LaPorte gets to run transport, and Michigan City gets to run Michigan City Transit. That's 50-50 federal match. So this was described, I mean, we've all known this was coming. So at this point, the commitment then would be 12.5% for each of the 4 entities. However, because we've managed to, from lessons learned and by achieving some good economies of scale, that 12.5% is only $30,000 that we're asking for commitment for each year. So we've only increased the amount by $5,000. And we've improved service immeasurably, and we're very proud of the system. I would point out that Michigan City has made an even larger commitment by making a free transfer between Michigan City Transit and the Transit Triangle. Michigan City residents are able, with the same pass that they got, they're able to access both Michigan City Transit and the Triangle and get to PNW or the city of LaPorte with the same price. And now a student who purchases the pass, or a resident of LaPorte who purchases the pass, can not only go from LaPorte to Michigan City, but then they can transfer to any of Michigan City Transit's lines and access things that LaPorte doesn't have, like the rest of the world. The South Shore, the Social Security office, the boat, the fine restaurants and shopping that Michigan City has. Both mayors are very much behind this system, and I do also know that there are a number of students, it's not just PNW students that use this system regularly, but also Ivy Tech students. The students in LaPorte are, I know of several who are going to Ivy Tech now on a daily basis, and it's the only way they could.
I just wanted to add a couple of other things. One of the concerns that was expressed was that there is not enough people using it, and we'll continue to market this, and then that way more people can utilize this. And then the other concern that was brought up was that they wanted some additional stops, but there are some technical reasons why it cannot happen. Maybe Robin, you can address that.
In transportation, it's like we have different types of systems. We have what you call fixed route, commuter routes, and all fixed route services have to have a complimentary paratransit. That's a door-to-door service that accompanies it. If we create and operate the Transit Triangle as a fixed route service, it would double our cost of operating. So our objective is to connect all the systems, Michigan City Transit with Transit Triangle, with LaPorte, Transport. And that way it's like we can get persons from one destination to another. You can travel from Michigan City to LaPorte, all for $1 from the Social Security office, from the courthouse in Michigan City to the courthouse in LaPorte, all for $1. Transfers are free, and then continue on to PNW.
I want to also take this opportunity to thank both Tom McLennan and Robin Tillman. They really, ever since we began this, they have worked very hard, and with the support of both the mayors and, of course, the county, both the commissioners, the council, and the PNW. So it's been working well. We'll try to continue to market it a little bit more. That way, more people can utilize it, get the education, and sometimes even for jobs, they can utilize this transportation to reach their place of work.
Do you have some ridership numbers that you can share with us?
We didn't present it earlier because we wanted to confine it in 15 minutes, but we will be happy to share
The ridership in July in 2018 was 6,408. Going back, it has increased, and we've had a little wave up and down from the year beginning in 15, where we had 4,927. So we've had a little peaking and a little downward slide.
But those numbers are from before we changed the system
To the
and increase the number of rides and streamline the with the free transfers. That has only been in there since November. So the numbers are, we've been trying to increase the numbers by improving the system, but there hasn't really been enough time to say, okay, now we're these are good numbers yet, because people haven't had time to get used to it. One of the biggest criticisms I've heard about the Transit Triangle is, I see the bus running empty. This is a commuter bus. If you want to convince someone to take the bus, they have to believe that bus will run on time, every day that it's scheduled. So yes, sometimes for parts of the route, the bus is empty. But we don't shut it down, because people need to see that and believe that bus is going to run, or they will not abandon their car. They won't use the system. The other thing was that by improving that, initially, as I said, we ran from 6 to 10 in the morning and from 2 to 6 in the afternoon. There was a 4-hour gap in the middle. So to get somebody to take the commuter bus, go to their destination, and then get stuck for 4 hours really hurt our ridership. Now it's streamlined, and every hour and 15 minutes there's a clockwise bus going around that route, and every hour and 15 minutes there's a counterclockwise bus going around that route. And you can take, if you're just planning on going from Michigan City to LaPorte, that's 18 opportunities a day to make it to LaPorte. And that's pretty good.
We've also stepped back and looked at the beginning of this project. They projected more ridership than we actually received. So it's like we initially bought the larger equipment. Going forward, it's like we proposed that we reduce the size of the vehicle. In turn, that would reduce our fuel cost and our fuel cost in half. So that would reduce the operating cost as well. We're going to continue to look forward on how we can save and reduce our costs and provide even better service to our communities.
Okay. Anybody? Or you got something? Yeah, I got quite a bit here. Okay. I'm going to use a round figure, and I'm going to say 6,000 riders a year. Now you're operating 12 hours Monday through Friday, so we don't get 365 days. We got to take 104 off of that. That reduces you down to 261 days that you're operating, which shows me that you are having 5 riders an hour in that 12-hour period, okay? Because I hear, and you were exactly right, when people see it, I'm hearing from the taxpayers, it's a loser. It's not doing what it was supposed to do. The ridership isn't up there. And if we don't continue to put more and more money in, you're not going to be able to market any further than what you've marketed. Maybe the idea of that time span that was in between was the way to operate it, because you can't afford to operate it in the fashion that you are. I'm going to go back to a couple things, and this is very important. This was in November of 2013, and it was a council meeting, and it was much in the infancy stages that the commissioners had a productive meeting with the mayors and PNC, but the bottom line on here was, once the 3 years are over, with the fares that are generated, they should be able to become self-sufficient. That's what this council looked at and heard. On February 24, 2014, this was, another line here in a paragraph, but the bottom line here is, once revenue is generated from the fares next year, we may not need any money from the county. On January 26, 2015, it came before, or it was presented to us by the county engineer at the time, I think that was Yakulo. President Yagelski said, and I quote, "This was a one-shot deal money when it was presented to the council." Now, my next thing is which kind of puzzles me today. On April 3rd, 2019, just a few months back, couple, I guess, this says to me that at the county commissioners meeting, you guys got approved for $31,250. Why are we talking about $5,000 today? And apparently it came out of, where's my words here? Gosh darn it, it was because Attorney Freeman reported there may be enough funds in the commissioner's professional consulting account to pay for this instead of approaching the council, which is another issue I think that the council and the commissioners are going to have, but I'm not going to air that out in this meeting. But isn't it, I mean, it said motion carried. What are we talking about now?
Let me respond to that. First of all, the commissioners were all in agreement that we need to support this, and the cost of it was $31,000. At that time, it was mentioned that there was money in the professional what
consulting account,
consulting account,
Correct.
And our auditor, whom we rely on for decisions like this, did mention that there may be money available, and it can be utilized for this purpose, and that's the reason why we did that. But later on we found out there was not enough money in that account, and that's the reason why we are here and asking for additional appropriation.
Okay, another question to the auditor, I guess, because I thought that well, again, the structure of county government, as we know, is supposed to, it should have came to you guys, as it did, and then it gets passed on to us because we're the fiscal body that decides. Somehow, somewhere, within the last couple months, it just stayed within the commissioners' meeting and didn't come to us. As far as I'm concerned, I'll use the word circumvent, and that is circumventing the system. We're the body that is supposed to decide if we're going to spend that $31,250, and I don't know why we're in a workshop and why you guys should have, this is my opinion, this is what I believe, the way that it's supposed to work. You guys could have heard that, and you did, and said, you now have approval to approach the council. They are the ones that spend the money.
You know, the intention definitely was not to circumvent. There's no question
I
about
hope
that.
not.
Yeah,
I hope not, Doctor. I really do.
No, it is not. It was not to circumvent. But at the same time, if there were some resources available, why put that burden again on you? And that's how we felt it.
But apparently there wasn't.
Right.
And that's why the system works if it gets down to us, because then we, would have that ability to say to her, where do we want to take this out of?
Yeah, in future, if there are situations like that, no problem. We'll be happy to come and share that information with you.
But I hope too that you heard some of the words as far as after 3 years, as far as a one-time shot. This was what was presented to this council.
No, it was.
So
and we were.
Please understand that.
No, I understand that, and we hope that the ridership would be higher than what it is. No questions about that.
Yeah.
And then also we are trying to subsidize it also for the students, for the seniors, for the disabled. So there is a little cost to that subsidy, and for the larger good that this does in terms of improving educational attainment in our community, and making sure that our seniors and our disabled have the access to go to places to get their services taken care of, healthcare taken care of. I think it's a good service.
And there's probably 50% of the taxpayers that will agree with you and 50% that won't,
right,
or whatever that percentage would be. But we're not here to debate that either. Right. But it is because, honest to goodness, the people I talk to, they're like, what's going on with that thing? We see it go by all the time, and there's nobody on it.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
I have just a few questions that should be simple and quick. What is the average monthly cost to run the program?
I don't have it broke down in the monthly cost.
Okay, you have an annual.
I have the annual.
That'd be great. Just so I have a number of reference. I'm a numbers guy, so you throw numbers at me, I'll lead them up.
The annual cost in 2015 was $208,000. The annual cost in 2016 was $206,000. 17 was $227,000. And in 18 it was $266,000.
And what are we projecting for 2019?
2019's budget was
Part of the reason it jumped was we went to providing the.
Yeah, no, I get it, and I appreciate and like the idea.
Yeah, extending the routes by another 4 hours. Right.
248 in 19, projected
Okay.
255 in 2020.
And I just want to go back to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay.
Okay. The ridership is over 6,418, and you said the fare is $1.
Correct.
Okay, unless it's a monthly
That was
The fare is $1 now.
now.
It wasn't at the time,
Okay,
and at the time we weren't running continuously. We were running.
okay. But you also shared, or someone said, and forgive me, I couldn't say who, but it was $20 a month and then $10 a month.
That's a pass.
That's the
pass,
monthly pass.
unlimited rides.
Okay, and are we counting those people in the 6,000
Yes.
of ridership? Okay, so it's not an easy guess on exactly what the dollar is
Correct.
per ride, per person on that. Even if I said everybody paid $1 per ride, it's $6,400.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now,
Now, can I? And I'm not. I just want to get numbers in my head. Sorry. The next thing you mentioned about the additional stops, that there's been requests for additional stops, and some of them have been in LaPorte. And one of my questions is, what do you think is the solution if the Transit Triangle can't do it? Then does that mean that, like in LaPorte, Transport then has to pick up and take the riders from that location? Is that the solution to get them to the east part of?
The idea was to create a commuter service to link 3 places and to give access to the existing Michigan City Transit and existing LaPorte Transport. So if once a person gets to LaPorte, it's a reality that the federal government doesn't want to pay for 2 systems in an area. So adding.
So that's the restriction, is that we're just trying to get from
connecting
to the connecting. Yeah.
Connecting that.
Trying to get to the next.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding
And we
where we're at.
benefit greatly. Transport benefits. We get a number of riders from the Transit Triangle every day. We bring people to the Transit Triangle every day. There happen to be 2 stops in LaPorte, mostly because the downtown stop, we realized that this area doesn't have great parking. I don't know if you realize that. So the other stop is at Maple City Mall, or Maple Lane Mall, which is Dunham's, which has a certain amount of parking available.
A lot right
So
now.
that's why we stopped there.
Okay.
They're trying to balance the efficiency and also make sure it's cost effective and also timely. And so I think they're trying to juggle all these things and come up with the best possible solution.
And also connecting the fares with Michigan City, where our intentions was to feed those riders onto the Transit Triangle, and if we can produce the same ridership on our Transit Triangle routes that we receive on the Michigan City Transit route, that would increase our numbers to 20,000 per route. So it's like we're looking for a boost in the operating in sync with Michigan City Transit.
One of the reasons that we want that boost, and we both have a vested interest in that boost, is because Federal 5307 money is figured partly on how many riders do you have. So it behooves us to work as hard as we can to get more riders on all 3 systems, because it brings more federal dollars in. Because if we wanted to expand that system to add, another route out to, say, the Kingsbury Industrial Park, the only way we do that is with more federal funds. And in order to do that, we need more riders.
Just real quick, because he touched it just for a second, but the fee is ridiculously cheap.
Yeah.
And I understand that you want to, try to strive for that, but I think it could be doubled or tripled to some degree to generate more money. That's just my comment. There you go.
Yeah, regardless of whether you have monthly passes or you half off prices or whatever it is, you still have to fill your federal forms out. So on your federal forms, what's your ratio? What's your Farebox ratio?
Well,
Either
mine
way,
is
too.
different from
Doesn't matter. It's just what's the 10%? Okay, because usually generally transportation buses usually 15%. 10's pretty low, and
depends on the type of system.
I'm just saying, so general over the country, because I've been on NICTE board, so I know the transportation things. We are at 50% on the train, but generally, if you take overall, it's 15% generally on there. But again, it varies. I get it.
Transports is actually 18%.
Okay, but generally it's 15%. Okay, just as a number for across the country. I'm not looking at Michigan City. I'm just looking for across the country. So that answers, Mike, your question down there on the fare ratio percentage. Second thing is that what about, there's two questions. So the first one, what about buses? Because there was a question about the wearing of the buses and so on and so forth. Is any of this cost later going to come to us and say they want us to pick up the buses?
In this cost, did you include the smaller vehicles we were planning to get?
We presented that, and it's like the smaller vehicles are at a cost of, they're $90,000 compared to us like $150,000 a unit, and they use half the fuel cost.
Well, that's good.
But Mr. Aginski is asking, it's factored in these totals?
No, not in those totals here. It's additional totals for capital. It's a big capital project.
There is a capital
we
project.
have to come back
So
in
2 years.
So they're coming back.
It's the 2 buses.
Right. So they're coming back in 2 years.
And the capital procurement is at an 80-20 grant.
Right.
That's back at 80-20, so it would be 20% if split 4 ways, so a total of 10% of 2 buses, and so the ask at 180, about 18,000
split among 4 partners.
I'm on 4, but like 4,500.
4,500.
If I can state this, at that April 3rd, 2019 meeting, that when this money I thought was granted or what have you, new buses in 2020 is an additional $8,000 per entity. So you'll be asking us for 8 LaPorte, PNW.
Reduced to 45.
4,500 instead of 8,000?
Well,
per unit.
Per bus, 2 buses. So
Per unit.
no, actually, it's at this point it's looking more like.
I mean, that was on their agenda. That's what was talked about. 8,000.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. All right.
My last question will be real quick here. So, since I was involved a few years back with this conversation, and Mr. Santana was correct on the quotes that came out there, skipping the buses, just sticking with this here. If everything stays status quo as you now, you have the increase now, but just stays roughly status quo. We're 1% gain a year, whatever, small numbers. This last amount told us it would last 3 years. It ended up lasting 4 years, but they told us it would last 3 years and then it becomes self-sufficient. With this number that we have right now, minus the capital projects, what would be the projection of you having to come back to the council at any time in the future?
Well, it's an annual fee because, I mean, you told me you were on the NICTE board.
Just
Are they self-sufficient?
they're 50. I said they're 50%. Yeah, my number is 50%. We have 50% Farebox. Yes, the rest of the money comes from federal. We have state and federal dollars that come in. We don't. The citizens of LaPorte County do not participate in that. You just pay the taxes. You buy an item, you pay the 7.5%, and we get 0.02% of that 7.5%.
Okay, but that would be an aberration. I mean, I don't know of any bus line.
I just mentioned to you that if you remember the quote, and Jeff could read it again, when you first came out here, had we introduced the money that had become self-sufficient, you would not have to come back in front of the council. Mm-hmm. That was exact quote. That wasn't something that I just made up. So with my conversation, you're answering not the capital. You're going to come back every year for this set amount, at least this amount.
My understanding, yes. I don't anticipate this ever becoming self-sufficient because
I don't care that. I'm just asking. I got at least last time we had a number we based it upon. It didn't happen, but that was the conclusion we had. So at the present numbers right now, you're going to come back every year for this amount.
That's the plan.
Most likely.
That's the point.
Not counting your capital projects.
And if I can, so and again, that went from 25,000 over the last few years that we were doing with this increase of about $5,000 up to
30.
To 30 grand, 31,250 is what was advertised before. Okay.
Is there any other questions?
I think I just want to compliment both of them. I think they've done, sounds to me like they've done a great job of managing this project very well. And Mike, one question was going to be about the bus size, because I thought I had heard where you were looking at downsizing
Downsizing
the more economical.
14 passengers.
Even though it'll cost some money, capital money to get it, but then the operating costs will go down because the fuel costs will go down.
Right,
But
right,
we won't
absolutely.
make that change until we have exhausted the life of these vehicles that exist. And then we would move forward with a smaller vehicle.
Right.
Yep,
So when they need to be replaced, you go with a small.
Correct.
yep,
Right.
Once it's
great.
reached its
Thank you.
Yeah. One last thing I wanted to mention to you was this is not something that is like a revenue neutral or a profitable kind of thing for this. It's to make sure that there is service available for people who absolutely need it for the long-term benefit. And not only that, the presence of the transit triangle also helps strengthen the public transportation in Michigan City and LaPorte. I think that's something I just wanted to make sure everybody.
If I could have a final word myself,
Yeah.
Before the Transit Triangle existed, a person who lived in the city of LaPorte, a senior who wanted to go to the Social Security office, would have one option. If they couldn't find a ride, their option would be to take Yellow Cab. It would cost them $30 to get to Michigan City, $30 to get back. And now they can do it for 50 cents going and 50 cents back.
That's on our dollar. That's on taxpayers' dollars. That's what I'm trying to stress here too. I love the idea of offering services, but our primary is police, fire, and ambulance, and EMS. I just don't know if this is one that I want to continue to contribute to as a councilman or a taxpayer. I'm just letting you know my feelings.
Citizen and a taxpayer
Yeah.
of LaPorte County, I think that it's an important thing.
I think it is too, but I just don't think.
Thinks this is important.
Okay. Appreciate you.
Is there any other comments from the council? I just want to say thank you. I know Michigan City and LaPorte has done a lot of hard work on this and trying to make this work, and everybody that's been involved, and I appreciate all that I know. And I see Robin because I'm from Michigan City, so I see her all the time when we talk about it. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
that completes that workshop.